I shoot stock video, a lot of it. And one of the cardinal sins that you can do, apart from not having a model release, is having logos and brandings within your videos. In the old days, people used to do things like blur it out or what have you, but not only does that look ugly and primitive, but we've got a much better way of doing it now with Davinci Resolve. So stick around and I'll show you some advanced techniques for removing logos and brandings from videos. So here we are in Resolve 18, and I've got the clip here which is already color graded. I'm happy with that grade there. My node tree. So what I want to do now is get rid of this logo here, obviously. So what I'm going to do is this to start off with. I always create a couple of nodes, and then what I do is I create a compound node. And then we go into the node and we'll create. So the first thing we want to do is put a window around the object that you're trying to track, or the object that you're trying to get rid of. So there's different ways of doing it here. You can use the pen tool, you can use the circle, you can use a square, and then you can always change the shape. But I quite like using the pen tool, so I'm just going to stick with that. So you see I'm using the pen there, and I've created that shape there. But the next thing you need to do, if you actually play the clip, you can see the clip moves. But obviously the tracking doesn't stay with the apple. Actually, one thing I need to do is I need to just change the resolution of this to 720 so that it plays a lot quicker. So yeah, there we go, it plays a bit smoother now. So yeah, you can see that the area that we try to ring fence with the pen tool is basically changing because we're not tracking it. So the next thing you need to do is jump over into the tracker, and you have to make sure that this is set to cloud tracker down here. I mean, you could set it to point, but cloud tracker is going to be more appropriate for what we're doing. And then what I like to do is hit this button here, which will track it backwards and forwards. So you should track it from this end to this end here, from here to here. So let's do that. Let's track. So you hit that button there, and you see it's tracking it, and it's going all the way to the edge. Okay, so you can see it's gone to the edge, and then it's stopped tracking it there because it's lost the actual logo. But what we can do is you switch it from clip to frame. So now you can manually add keyframes using this frame here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just move that, and that's added a keyframe down here. And then I'll move it a bit further, just so it's out of the way. And again, move it to the edge, and you see it's added a keyframe. So now you can go back and you see how that works there. Right, so now we've tracked the actual logo so that when it moves with that push in, it stays on the logo. Okay, so the next thing we need to do now is to actually replace. I'm just going to do this and hide to make that a bit bigger. So the next thing we want to do is actually replace that logo. So what we do is we search for the replacer tool, patch replacer, and you see we got the patch replacer here. We bang it on there. So the patch replacer will take one bit of the image and replace it onto another bit. So this is the bit that here we can resize this, as you can see, but this is the bit here that will be replaced. So what we want to do is put that down there, or cover where we want to replace, and then we also put it to somewhere that's similar in background. So if we look at it now, oh, you see where it moves there, it doesn't quite follow. But if we look up here at the region shape, it's currently set to ellipse. If we set this to alpha channel, then what we have here is a bit of magic. So when you set that to alpha channel, it then does what we want it to. Yeah. So we've got the second of our clips that we want to get rid of the logo in. The Apple logo there. Lovely as it is, we don't want it in our stock clip, so let's get rid of it. Okay, so let's create 2 nodes before the noise, the denoise. Let's create a compound node. Then let's dig in to that compound node. What we want to do is connect the output here of this first node to the input here of the second. So what that means is that the tracking that we do in this node is going to be applied to this this node here. So what we're going to do is create a window, associate some tracking with it, and then that tracking and window is then going to be fed to this node where we're going to apply the effect. So that's how we're going to do it. Let's go to the window tab. Like I said before, you can do the square, you can do circle, you can do the line, or you can do the pen tool. I quite like the pen tool, so let's click on that, and let's just draw a little box around there, and then let's track it. So let's see how, I mean, it doesn't actually move very much, so but still, even with the slightest of movement, it's still good to have the tracking to make sure that there's no funny business goes on. So let's use this back and forward tracking control here. So we see the tracking from the end of the clip all the way to the beginning. It's quite processor intensive, this tracking here, so it's going to take a bit of time. Right, great. So that's tracked now. So you can see it moves very slightly as we go along. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is look for the patch replacer. Drop that on there. Let's resize this. Put it over the Apple logo, and then what we want to do is find a nice bit. So if you put it down here, it's going to have that shadow underneath, and it's going to give you the wrong replacement. You want to find something that's about the same level so that the grading is going to look the same. So now if you look at that, let's just do this. So okay, so if you look at it now, you can see already it's working. So with this one, we just use it in its standard default mode and it worked just fine. Let's see what happens if we actually change the region shape to alpha. Likewise, it still works with this one. You can use either the alpha channel or the original ellipse setting for the region shape, and you still get a lovely disappearing logo, as if it was never there. Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave your comments.